EHA has identified that there are some specific needs that we have in Europe to build unmet needs within hematology, and we have built this program of topics in focus. And the two topics we've selected this year are on immunotherapy and on hemoglobinopathies. And what I'm going to talk about today is the immunotherapy approach. Immunotherapy, it has had major advances in terms of how to treat patients with hematologic malignancies, but there's so much more progress being made in the US, and Europe has lagged behind. We are therefore aware that there's an acute need to both think about building capacity, educate, considerations of access and cost, all of which have to be addressed urgently, and therefore EHA is leading an effort through Topics in Focus to continue a program in a multidisciplinary way to look at all these issues, to educate people in what's required to safely administer immunotherapy products, to look at capacity issues, to how you think about what's required to register as a site and what needs to be done to safely administer these products, and at the same time look at advocating how we get our payers to allow access of these very exciting therapies for our patients. We're also working with the patient advocacy groups in the diseases in whom these approaches are likely to be effective, to look at how we can engage patient engagement in terms of both education and in terms of the advocacy we need for moving this field forward in Europe. Well, the process of talking about a CAR T cell sounds easy. It's about getting a product which is very readily obtainable from patients through an apheresis, and every stem cell unit in Europe has apheresis machines. Getting the gene into the cells, the gene product into the cells, and doing that in a safe and effective way through a process of the laboratory being what we'd call good laboratory practice, a GLP facility. The number of such facilities that we have in Europe is very much less than is already available within the US. There are a couple of companies who have an approved product already that have the capacity to take a product, ship it, have it manufactured and sent back, but those facilities remain somewhat limited. As those capacities increase and the number of products that can be made increases, the unit cost per doing that should come down. But the other side of that is getting even if anyone could get the product, delivering the product back safely requires an entire infrastructure within your hospital to be able to do this. And many of these sites in the US have already built up that capacity by being heavily involved in the clinical trials. We're going to have to build a lot of that capacity up from scratch to safely administer these products as they become available. And that's one of the things that EHA is looking to try to build quickly, is educate sites, register sites, and have these sorts of products available for the largest numbers of patients that can benefit from them. So we're looking to take a whole multidisciplinary approach. The first we had already, the first session at EHA yesterday, where we had a whole session dedicated to CAR T cells, what they are, what's required to build a centre. We have a workshop coming in February, which Professor Hermann Einzeler will chair, looking to bring that forward. But in the meantime, we are building partnerships with all of the interested parties, where we're going to have multiple workshops which are going to be developed over the next year and over the next years, looking to see at every level what can we do, not just to deliver CAR T cells, but all of the other exciting immunotherapy products which are coming along. How can those all be delivered safely, and how can they be paid for? I think what I'd like them to take away is that as we see continued results from the CAR T cell trials, we are hugely excited by the very durable responses we're seeing in very refractory patients. That gives us even more excitement to believe that this is an approach which is going to be very beneficial for a significant proportion of patients going forward. whenever we see such extremely good results in very refractory patients, you always believe that if you are able to deliver that therapy earlier, you'll get even better results. So identifying who are the patients that are to be treated with this approach is the next big clinical trial question that we have.